You're gonna have to run me through what we're doing again. I haven't. It's been a while since you explained it to me.
Introducing the looking glass theory, a theory developed by sociologist Charles Cooley, who detailed the idea of one's self-concept, or self-image, is developed in response to our internalization of others' perceptions and how they may perceive and evaluate us. Despite these perceptions, good or bad, we result in altering others' perceptions out of fear of judgment to change these impressions. We will be viewing two different narratives of two young individuals, Leena and Nic. Firstly, how would you describe yourself?
Oh, that's a that's a deep question. I feel like the way I view myself as someone who is very kind,
I'd say pretty outgoing,
sarcastic,
loud,
I'm an intellectual.
annoying sometimes,
How would you say others describe you?
but pretty positive, high energy.
I feel like I'm a fairly authentic person. I feel like who I am is who I am, and I don't have multiple faces. So I feel like the way that I describe myself, I feel like others see me the same way.
I'd hope to think that they describe me as kind.
Would you say your culture has greatly impacted your sense of self?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like for example, when I'm out with my friends, I'm a little less traditional in the way that I act, but I feel like, you code switch. You're in different aspects of your life. And so I feel like it's like code switching. So when you're in a South Asian setting, for example, when I'm at a family party and there's elders and there's people that are there, the way that I conduct myself is completely different. I don't swear. I'm not really too loud. Don't really make too many jokes. If I am there, I'm polite. And you want to keep everything very, very surface level, very, very just pleasant. And so I feel like that code switching really happens. But I think in general, who I am as a person is not very different between all these people. It's only very slight changes, mainly in terms of how I express myself.
How has media influenced you while growing up?
Not all of media's influence has been bad for me. I feel like everyone kind of talks about the idea that it's how you look physically can be affected by the media, and obviously not having representation and not seeing people that look like you, that does fuck with your mind a little bit and kind of make you feel a little bit less than. And
I went from being a super skinny kid, 20 kilos lighter than I was at the same height. And then I had all these influences, as soon as I started hitting the gym and that training, I had all these outside influences, social media is a huge thing. And yeah, so many people telling you oh, you can achieve this naturally. And at 16, 17, you're I believe that. I will get there. And then you sort of flood yourself with so many things that start out as motivation, images of different bodies and stuff that start out as motivation, that it sort of it changes the way you look at the standard male form as in something that'd be acceptable.
In what ways do you see media's impact on you to this day?
So, I do have those experiences where I feel I need to do my makeup a certain way or do my hair a certain way in order to be an attractive woman. And you can argue that it does emulate less of a South Asian aesthetic and more of a white Western aesthetic in terms of the way I do my hair and the way I do my makeup.
The perception and the things they tell me all the time is oh, you're a really young, fit, healthy guy, that's great that you're so fit and healthy. And yeah, my body is, but my mind needs work, because you end up with that whole body dysmorphia thing where you're some days you feel great, some days you don't feel great. Now I have body dysmorphia, so look in the mirror and I'm oh wow, I'm really skinny. In reality, I'm 20 something kilos heavier than I was when I first started training. Yeah, I think I have pretty good self-awareness. I think I did try, there was a point where I realized okay, my goals are super unrealistic, and my ideal standards of the male body and the male form were yeah, not good. So I did try my best to shift it. I don't know how. I suppose I need to reevaluate. I haven't reevaluated in a while, but I tried to.
A lot of times I feel satisfied with myself when I am fitting into those boxes that were outlined for me, because I feel like there's a lot of people around me that I look up to that if I don't fit within those specific boxes, if I don't do the specific traditional things that I'm supposed to be doing as a woman, taking care of people around me, being kind, being palatable, being someone who doesn't cause trouble or other people discomfort, even though you may be feeling discomfort yourself. I definitely feel like I fulfill those roles, and I think that's reflected in my personality and the way that I conduct myself with everyone around me.
Do you regret how you've changed?
I tried my best to change my perception of like what was the acceptable body and like what was realistic, because like you got to set yourself aside, you know, that was realistic. And I sort of tried to bring my standards down, and in a way I'm almost kind of glad I do have it. Like I have this sort of perception of myself because it kind of drives me to keep going, like, and I'm just disciplined and motivated. Like I can, you know, the hardest part about getting to the gym and training is like getting there. And for me, it's not a worry, but like, you know, there's downsides to it.
I feel like society, I definitely regret, but it's kind of a hard question to say because it's like I don't know who I would be without it. You know what I mean? Like we can't choose to not. I mean, we can choose to not live in society, but I feel like in our formative years that kind of create your personality and create who you are and inform who you are. Like I can't say who I would be without society, you know, like I don't know that aspect. But what I do know is that there's a lot of things that I don't necessarily like that I can recognize that society has kind of enforced.